Hello, what's going on, guys? Hockey Guy 1 here. Welcome to my review of Bumblebee. So, Bumblebee is directed by Travis Knight and stars Haley Steinfeld, John Cena, Dylan O'Brien, Peter Cullen, Angela Bissett, and Justin Theroux. So, the story is about the Autobots that are about to lose a civil war into Decepticons, so they send Bumblebee to Earth so they can look at the new base, and Bumblebee has to protect Earth from anything the Decepticons they come. So some of the positives are we finally got a great story for this movie, and now that Michael Bay is not on it, it's actually pretty well executed, and it's a great story. Like you can follow what's going on. It's a lot more than just a bunch of explosions, and it actually develops a story very well, unlike the other Transformers movies, which kind of doesn't really have good stories. And actually, he does something well. And Charlie is like a really good character for sure. She actually developed very well, and as kind of a teenager, and her bond with Bumblebee is really great. Like it's to the point where you feel bad for them. Unlike in the other Transformers movies, you actually feel bad for these characters because they have a great bond, and they're actually are well developed, and it's a great bond for these characters. And Charles Knight did a good job with writing this, and also Haley Steinfeld did do a good job as Charlie. She's a pretty good actress, and I think she did really great here because she's in a role. She acts like the character, and actually does very well with the acting, unlike Megan Fox, and actually is great in this movie. And Bumblebee is also a great character. Like I mentioned earlier, his bond with Charlie is done very well, and it actually he's a really good character. Well, like you feel bad for him whenever something happens to him, because they develop his character well, and actually he does something, like you care for him, and he's just really great, because they develop his character from kind of over time, from not really having a voice box, and to learning how to do all this stuff, and you feel bad for him whenever something bad happens to him because of how good his development is. And the Army weren't necessarily main antagonists, but they're kind of secondary antagonists because they did kind of just get confused and just kind of misunderstood the Autobots. So they're not exactly villains. They're just kind of antagonists. I mean they're great characters because they actually have somewhat of a motivation, because of the misunderstanding, and they're pretty good for this movie. And John Cena definitely did a great job in his role. Well, I didn't really know if he could be that good of an actor in Hollywood, but you know what? After this movie, maybe he could definitely move on from wrestling to being an actor pretty well, because he definitely did a great job in this movie, and he was really great. Now the action that's what I really liked about this movie. It was awesome, and it's a lot more than just a bunch of explosions. Like that's literally basically all the action was in the first 5 Transformers movies. here they actually do have some action here that's actually really good. Like a bunch of Bumblebee fighting off all the Decepticons. The opening scene where the Autobots were fighting off the Decepticons, they actually were great and actually had some real stakes to them, and were actually very entertaining. Unlike in the Transformers movies where it's just a bunch of explosions, like I mentioned, and like you don't just have to do that to make that action in Michael Bay, but this is action, like how you do the correct way of action in a Transformers movie for sure. And the Decepticons are great villains, and really guys, I think it's about all of them that show up here, and they're intimidating as they do go after Bumblebee throughout, and are actually really good villains. Like they go out and attack Bumblebee right, and you can get their motivation as they do feel kind of betrayed by the Autobots. Since they just wanted to steal wars, they didn't really like what the Decepticons were doing. So you do get their motivation, and really good villains. And the CGI was just fantastic. Like every time a Transformer or Decepticon was on screen, it looked great, and it just looked really great. Because the way the visuals were done, it looks realistic. Like they definitely executed well, and it looks good on screen, and it's fantastic. For as little as the other Autobots like Optimus Prime were in it, they still did a good job. I'm pretty glad what they did with them. Like they were pretty good for as little as they were in, and I'm pretty glad they put them in as little as they did, because if they put them in any more, they probably would have overdone the screen time from Bumblebee and Charlie. So I'm glad they did what they did with him, just kind of made them side characters at the start. They don't really show up in like two scenes. I think a good job on their part. With that said, I do have negatives, like Charlie's mother she's kind of just your typical overprotective mother. It's not like this time you really get why she's overprotective. She's just kind of overprotective, and that's about it. It's about her character. But other than that, I really don't think there's any other flaws. So overall, Bumblebee was a great movie, and is usually the best live-action Transformers movie. So I'm going to give Bumblebee a 9 out of 10. That was my review of Bumblebee. What are your thoughts on Bumblebee? Tell me in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.